Hello, this is a hot water collector. Uh, Cold water goes through it, the sun heats it up, and hot water comes out. That's basically it. This is the second part of the system. It's the pump. It turns on when the temperature differential reaches the set threshold and pumps the hot water from the roof down to this big hot water tank. There's a temperature sensor down here, which goes into the tank up here and on the roof. And then we have the solar controller. This is the controller that I built for solar hot water. To the left here I have the old controller which broke down and it won't turn on the pump anymore, so I decided to make my own. The whole system is run by ESPHome. The main unit is a TTGO display which has a ESP32 inside, and it's running all of the logic that turns off and on the system. And above that I have the connections for the three sensors, one on the roof and two in the tank, which then the relay is triggered. Currently it's on, and the relay turns on the outlet where it says pump, so right above it, and the outlet to the right is just constantly on, and it's used to power the USB-C to the T-display. And to the right there I have just a generic TUYA smart switch that's used as a backup in case my system breaks down, and I can turn it on using TUYA. So that's just a fail-safe. Okay, so the way this works is we have the solar collector here, the pump, and the hot water tank. When the temperature differential reaches 20 degrees difference, the pump turns on, and when the temperature differential drops to 10 degrees, then it turns off. So in this example, 50 is the temperature on the roof, 30 in the bottom of the tank, so the temperature differential is 20. So the pump would run until this difference goes down to, for example, when it goes down to 40, when the roof temperature goes to 40, and let's say this stays at 30, 10, it would turn off, and then it would wait for the roof to heat up again to turn the pump on, so it doesn't run continuously. This is the ESP32 that I used for the project. It's the TTGO version with the screen on it. You can use the regular the regular ESP32. I just wanted to have a screen on so I'm not reliant on Home Assistant to check the temperatures. When I did this project, I didn't know of these boards. Here I used similar to these pins, but 90 degrees. I used those. I screwed it onto the board and soldered the pins, and then connected DuPont plugs into the pins. But if I were to do this project again, I would use this board. So the way it works is you just solder the pins to here and you plug it in, and you do both of them. You can maybe even do on one side depending on which pins you use. It won't be an exact match because this is for different ESP32, but you can still use it by just checking which pin is which. Also, be careful when you order these. There's two different widths, so there's the narrow and the wide. So I believe this is the narrow, but I would order more of them just to make sure. I'll try to post a link to them if I can find it. This is the temperature sensor that I used for the system. So I have a DS18B20 temperature sensor. It's a digital sensor, and we have an input of 3 to 5.5 volts. I connected 3 volts, a resistor of 4.7k ohms going to the data pin from the ESP, and we have the ground wire. Now, I have 2 wires going to the roof, and these sensors can work on 2 wires only by moving the red wire and orange wire together like this. So you have a 3 volt input and these 2 wires going to the GPIO connected with the resistor. Now some of the wires that you order aren't going to be able to work with 2 wires, I guess because of quality problems. Out of 10 sensors that I ordered, 2 were able to work on 2 wires. So I would either suggest, if you have the need to connect through 2 wires, buy a quality sensor or buy multiple, and you will eventually find one that has working on 2 wires. Here's the screen when it's working. To the left here are those DuPont connectors. I took a big one, I think it's 6, and just used the pins that I needed in the correct order, starting from the 3 volts. On the other side I did the same thing. I screwed in, as you can see, I took a longer connector than I needed, and I drilled through and screwed them to the wall. And then I connected each one. There's the resistor. I split the 3 volts into 3 by just soldering them together, and I have these connectors. Here's the roof with the 2. Use these, I don't know what they're called, the connectors. And finally the relay. The relay is using 5 volts ground and signal wires. That's basically it. I also have a UPS connected to the system. The UPS I bought used and connected 2 solar batteries to it, which gives me at least 1 day of backup power. This is important because if the power goes out, the temperature on the roof will continue to rise over 100 degrees Celsius, and it will evaporate. Finally, we have the wiring diagram of the whole thing. I suggest that you pause the video and take a screenshot, but basically pin 26 is the bottom sensor of the tank, pin 33 is the roof sensor, pin 32 is the relay, and pin 13 is the bottom of the tank sensor. As I mentioned earlier, each temperature sensor has a 3 volt input, resistor 4.7k, ground, and the relay is 5 volts and it's connected to ground also. And I just connected the ESP32 with the USB-C. And finally we get to the code. I'm gonna post the code in the description below, but I'm gonna go through it now just so you get an idea of what's going on. So this first part is just defining which board it is, the ESP32. Here you will edit the Wi-Fi information, so you're gonna put your SSID and your password in. Here is the fallback hotspot. You can change these details if you'd like as well. This is how often it writes to flash. Here we define the relay, GPI open 32. You can change that if you'd like. This is for restarting the ESP32. Here we can program the left button to turn off the relay, and down here we can program the right button to turn on the relay. This is only for testing purposes, as it automatically goes back to checking every minute the temperature differential. So if you override it with the buttons, it's going to go back after a minute to its normal functions. So you don't need to worry about accidentally turning it off. Here we're defining the Dallas sensors, the temperature sensors. So the tank top of the tank has pin 26, bottom of the tank has pin 13, and the roof has pin 33. You can change any of these pins in your case. This is just a continuation of defining the sensors, temperature sensors, and this is for the temperature differential. This is how often this script below runs. So every minute it checks whether the conditions are met for the temperature. So in here I have, in case the temperature goes above 90 degrees Celsius, to turn on the relay automatically. Here is the turn off differential, and here is the turn on. So when it reaches 20, it's going to turn on and turn off when it goes back down to 10 differential. This part is for the screen, fonts. So this is the background image that I have. I'm gonna after this I'm gonna put it on the screen, and you can take a screenshot if you'd like to use this image, or you can make your own image. This, I don't know what it does. This is for the screen, and this is for the display, and finally this is to restart the ESP32 at 4 AM every Sunday. This is just to ensure that it's working correctly and that it doesn't get any bugs. It's just a good idea. And the picture that I put on the screen, you need to put it into this resolution, because that's the display's resolution. The file needs to be put under the solar PNG file name into this folder. So you need to have SMB enabled, and then you go into your Home Assistant config, ESPHome, and you need to have the solar PNG file if you'd like to have the background. And that's basically it. I also wanted to show what it looks like in Home Assistant when the sensors are added. So I have all the temperatures for the roof. So here you can see how throughout the day the temperature varies. Top of the tank, bottom of the tank, and the temperature difference. So for example, you can see here when the temperature difference reaches 20, it starts going down again, goes back up, and then it bounces around between 20 and 10 differential, and then finally goes down. Also here the pump will turn on. You can manually turn it on too, but this, as I said, will only last a minute, and then it's gonna turn off. And I added this I added through Home Assistant, just the amount of time for today that it's been running. So it's been running for 31 minutes today. And I also wanted to mention that if the differential, if the value is not an A or missing, the pump will automatically turn on. So that's just in case your sensor stops working. You don't want your roof to overheat, so it'll automatically turn on. And that's basically it. Thanks for watching.